Recently, Francesca Fiorentini asked us at TYT to take her podcast, Habituation Room, off the network. And we happily agreed to that. And today, I'm going a little further, and I'm going to take Francesca off the network entirely. So you won't see her on any of the TYT shows going forward. So I want you guys to know why I'm doing that and how this whole situation isn't really about Francesca. It's about TYT, our community, and what we stand for.
Cause you look like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? You look like a bitch. That's what it is. Like, that's just what it comes down to. You don't look like a fighter. You don't look smart. You look like a bitch. That's just the reality. I've tried to tell it to you nicely. I've tried to tell it to you cordially.
Francesca Fiorentini, one of the top woke scolds over at the Young Turks, has been fired by the network. Cenk Uygur announced it recently on the channel. And what's absolutely hilarious about this is that by any objective measure, Francesca has been trying to be fired on purpose in order to portray herself as some innocent Beba angel martyr that's just being cracked down by the evil Cenk Uygur and Ana Kasparian. And now, of course, that she got her wish, she is playing the victim. And what's hilarious about this is that all the insults that she has leveled towards Cenk and Ana didn't do the trick. What ended up happening is that Francesca said that her podcast, she no longer wanted it affiliated with the network for moral reasons because she found the TYT network absolutely disgusting. And Cenk says, okay, I mean, if it's immoral to work with us, then peace out. We're not going to employ you anymore. And of course, she's playing the victim. Of course, she's saying, oh my God, my life is so sad. I've been fired from the Young Turks, even though, again, she already has another position at another network, Mehdi Hassan's network. And of course, her attacking TYT completely coincides with her getting on board with that other network. So she found a new job already. She's been looking for a reason to leave her old job. She's been actively soft quitting because she's too cowardly to actually take the same stand that other people, by the way, who supposedly objected to TYT have taken. And now she's playing the victim because, oh my God, her life is so difficult, her life is so sad, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
He has this chapter, I'm going to bring it up, the first part of it called Do Not Obey in Advance. And he writes, most of the power of authoritarianism is freely given. In times like these, individuals think ahead about what a more repressive government will want and then offer themselves without being asked. A citizen who adapts in this way is teaching power what it can do. In other words, you don't have to do the sort of crackdown on the left around speech because I'm going to do it for you, or you don't have to come to me.
Down. Again, you're misstating it. I'm doing the exact opposite. You're cracking down by saying, Cenk, you're out of bounds, so you should stop your stupid opinion. And because you're implicating me.
I can't believe that a guy who I used to admire and who I thought had a lot of fight is trying to scratch the back of people who absolutely would never do the same for them.
So we just spent an hour and a half me explaining how I'm not scratching their back. I'm trying to get.
But I can show you more clips,
to agree with us on things we believe in, and we've always believed in. And you go back to scratching their back.
At least the trains will run on time.
The train's running on time, presumably a reference to Germany. I'm the collaborator, and I'm scratching the right wing's back by having my opinion. The opinion I've always had, an opinion I've had for years, and you guys have seen for years on the show.
There are multiple different clips throughout Cenk Uygur's segment and multiple different rational explanations for why Francesca Fiorentini has been fired from the network, has been told to pack up her desk and get the hell out, that she's absolute garbage in every possible way, and she's been thrown out as garbage. But that being said, all of the different reasons and rationale that Cenk Uygur puts forward in all these various clips,
I like that we can both be very Mediterranean about it and get super mad, but then rein it in and be cool and then be yeah, we're just gonna yell and then we're gonna be fine and then we're gonna get over it. So that's the kind of beer I like to have.
Yes. Thank you.
2 days later.
I mean, I have my own thoughts on why he's doing it. I think, if you think your brain was broken by the 2024 election, I think we're looking at a case where someone's brain was broken even harder.
Okay, but look, guys, if she had said that about another host, I probably would have drawn the line there. But it's about me, so I wanted to give more leeway. My brain is broken, and by the way, that's still okay. First time she's getting super personal. Collaborator, maybe that's a political opinion. Now we're a broken brain, even though we were supposed to have a beer and we were supposed to hash it out and be okay afterwards, but apparently not okay afterwards. But then that was the tip of the iceberg.
While 100% justified for firing, to be 100% clear, I don't actually believe that these are the real reasons or all of the reasons why Francesca Fiorentini has been thrown out. Because Cenk also talks about throughout the course of the segment that he doesn't like when hosts in the network fight one another. He's not on board with that. He finds that to be very destructive, and he thinks that if you're going to be the manager of a network, you have to prevent employees from fighting one another in the way that Francesca has been attacking not just him, but Ana Kasparian. And he gives a couple of examples. And of course, one of the funniest ones is Jimmy Dore attacking Francesca Fiorentini, in which Cenk Uygur, on her behalf, ended up getting an apology from Jimmy Dore to her, which of course is more respectful and more honorable than anything Francesca Fiorentini has shown herself.
Ironically, the second time we enforced it was against Jimmy Dore when he was doing it to Francesca. And he'd called her an effing liar. And he called her, and he said that she was a paid shill, which is a classic go-to move for Jimmy. Although he misspelled it paid chill, which sounds pretty nice. And I said, Jimmy, you can't do that. Ironically, he's the only one who actually apologized and said, I won't do it again. And he apologized to Francesca. Francesca apparently thought, great. I'm allowed to do this, but no one's allowed to do it to me anyway.
Even though it's not in this 20-minute video, let's give you a little bit of a refresher on things that I covered on this channel before, which is the brutal, savage attacks on Ana Kasparian that, of course, are rooted in lies from Francesca Fiorentini, in which she enlisted Emma Vigeland, another backstabber over at the Young Turks that used to be there, that's now at Majority Report, in order to do so.
Yeah, so I'm going to address it. I think that the clip that Francesca's using is misleading and totally out of context, but that's okay. But I know that—
No, it's not okay. No, it's not okay. That dishonesty is not okay.
Get me, get me.
Go ahead.
I hear you. I hear you. I don't mean to
but she's getting the likes that she wants, right? Otherwise, I mean, who would pay attention to anything she's doing?
Let's go. Let's go, girl. Let's go, Regina.
Anyway, continue, Cenk.
Yeah. So I said this before in the previous video where I covered this particular clip, but this is based on Francesca Fiorentini lying about Cenk Uygur, and I've documented that lie quite clearly. Let me just play you the clips in sequence again so you can hear that.
That obviously didn't sit well. You know, Cenk actually kind of took it on the chin. He just said it was out of context. It was not out of context. Everyone can go back and look. You want to have a beer with people who want to put people in mass deportation camps. They want to deport.
You think we're going to get put in camps? You sound all right. Anyway,
you think I sound crazy? They're starting with Chinese people. That's my family, dog. Like, what are you talking about? I didn't. He said that I was talking about Chinese Americans. I actually never mentioned Chinese Americans until after. You want to have a beer with people who want to put people in mass deportation camps. They want to deport.
You think we're going to get put in camps? You sound. All right, anyway.
You think I sound crazy? They're starting with Chinese people. I didn't even say Americans. I just mentioned Chinese people because undocumented Chinese people are a target of this administration.
But setting aside that Francesca completely lied in this particular podcast about what she said in the previous podcast, among many multiple lies, can we just take note of the fact that Emma's dirt face is absolutely ridiculous and over the top in this clip right here?
Let's go. Let's go, girl. Let's go, Regina.
Anyway, continue, Cenk.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, what the hell is that? What even is going on right here? And in addition to that, I find it to be absolutely hilarious that they're calling Ana Kasparian Regina, as in Regina George from Mean Girls, while they're quite literally participating in high school level Mean Girl activity. So of course, they've been going after Ana Kasparian for a very long time. They've been attacking her based on the fact that Ana changed some of her positions to rational, sensible positions. And just to give you an idea of how far gone and how mentally lapsed Francesca Fiorentini is, this is somebody who still endorses defunding the police because she's an absolute fool.
And I believe in expanding services, and I do believe in defunding the police in order to do them.
Now, of course, that is just one stupid position among a myriad of stupid positions taken up by Francesca Fiorentini, including the fact that she says that if professional male athletes, the top of their game, transition or transises, as we like to call it, the technical term on this particular channel, to females, they should be able to compete in those particular sports.
I'm a big Messi fan, so, but let me just explain this to you.
Answer my question.
Would you allow him, if he said, I'm a woman, to play in the American women's national team?
You're using the wrong pronoun
Yes, right now. Hell yeah, are you kidding me?
Transgender female athletes in women's sports, only 18% of the country says that they should be, in fact, allowed to participate in women's sports.
Your argument is really bad on this, and you're out of your depth. You're correct that trans women should be able to compete in women's sports, but your argument for it is just scientifically and factually incorrect. I'm actually not bad about this. I'm 100% right on this. I don't give a the scientific explanations. People, if they identify as a woman, get to compete in sports. If that's not fair in the short term for a variety of little competitions, I don't give a
And I mean, my goodness gracious, 79%. You rarely get 79% of the country to agree on anything.
Because the societal interest of including trans people in society trumps stupid competition. Full stop. So I'm right about this. You're wrong about this.
You'd let Lionel Messi play in the women's national football team and destroy women's football forever. You'd let Usain Bolt.
It'd be very difficult to get a ticket, which would suck.
I want to do a little checklist here. You'd let Usain Bolt compete as a sprinter in the American women's Olympic team?
Yes.
Okay. You would let Floyd Mayweather compete as a boxer in the women's American boxing team?
Opposing them in women's sports. You get 67% of Democrats, so 2/3 there. You get 64% of independents, so you get about 2/3 there.
So I'm right about this. You're wrong about this.
Okay. Generally speaking, if you want to say that you're right about something, sure, everybody has their own opinions and it's their opinions. That's why they think that they're right. It's another thing to say that you speak for the left. As you just saw there, 67% of Democrats have a position that is actually to the right of mine. I say that trans girls should be allowed to play in girls' sports in high school. 67% of Democrats say no, not allowed in any women's sports.
Now, as covered in a previous video, Francesca got really angry, really upset when Cenk pointed out that Francesca took all of these positions on Piers Morgan and was an absolute idiot, an absolute doof, embarrassed herself in every possible way on that particular show, and she had a little mini meltdown, and of course, that ended up leading to the clips that Cenk ended up showing later.
So Cenk's line up until this point has been, no, it's at the collegiate level and above. I think once you get to the college level and above, that's when it's bad. So he would be on board with what the NCAA said recently. But you're so dumb. You're so dumb. I don't even know how to explain this to you anymore. Unless, this is the other option, unless you also are a transphobe. You know what I'm saying? Unless you also are kind of a misogynist. Cause you look like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? You look like a bitch. That's what it is. Like, that's just what it comes down to. You don't look like a fighter. You don't look smart. You look like a bitch. That's just the reality.
Where she decided that she was going to swear at Cenk and say all these horrible things about him because, oh my God, he's not defending the God-given rights of Floyd Mayweather or Mike Tyson to transitions to female and beat the crap out of females in boxing. Now look, obviously Cenk Uygur's in the right here. Anna Kasparian, who's not featured throughout this whole course and segment, is in the right here based on the previous things that she stated about Emma, about Francesca Fiorentini. However, it would be bad of me to point out that Cenk Uygur's position on transes, and specifically male to female transes in female sports, is absolutely ridiculous. And even though it's technically better, as in it allows less biological males into female sports, logically, it's actually incredibly stupid.
Gender rights. Let me just say quickly what my position is, because a lot of people outside of the network have been misleading you about this. So I'm for 100% constitutional rights for transgender Americans, because why? They're Americans just like the rest of us, and they should have the same exact rights as us. They should be protected in bathrooms. They should definitely be allowed to serve in the military. And I happen to think that they should be allowed to play, transgender girls should be allowed to play in girls sports in high school. Now, my position on that is not overall popular in the country. I understand that, and I have a strategy for hopefully how to win on that in the long run. But I don't believe that they should be mandated to play in college and professional level.
Yeah, Cenk, your position on this is incomprehensibly stupid in every possible way. Let's be 100% clear about that. So, high school and college sports are actually in the most similar boat, and as there is K through 12 sports, because these particular leagues or these particular athletic departments are essentially mandated by law, Title IX of the Civil Rights Act. They are backed up and supported by taxpayers, and you do not have alternative leagues. These are not private organizations. Therefore, it doesn't make any sense for you to allow people to compete in high school that are biological males to females, but then have the cutoff be in college, be in university, especially when your recruitment for scholarships and all sorts of things starts at the high school level for those college positions. And again, it doesn't make sense through K through 12 sports or anything of the sort. And the idea that he would want the restrictions in the Olympics or in professional sports, again, makes no sense, because those are private organizations. They should be allowed to make their own rules. We can object to those rules. We can call out the Olympics for being absolutely stupid, call out those records that the biological males are setting and breaking as fraudulent records. But the fact is, it is not on us to police what goes on in the WNBA, because that is a private organization. They do receive welfare from the NBA in order to stay operational, but the NBA is also a private organization. So the position should be professional sports can do whatever they want. However, we would heavily advise them to not destroy the sole purpose of female sports. But everything beneath that, obviously because it's being supported by the taxpayers, obviously because you're using Title IX in order to force these leagues and these athletic programs on many of these schools, need to actually serve the purpose that they have, which is, of course, to be female sports. And unlike male sports, which is all about maximizing competition, that does not require any gender-specific rules. Again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If a female were to be capable of participating in male sports, she should be allowed to do so, because if you're at that skill level, we want you in the best possible league. However, of course, female sports exists by excluding males. The only reason we have female sports is to be a carve-out for women to have their own sports, and that carve-out is based solely on the idea that males are not included. So the entire point and premise of female sports is no men in those sports, no boys in those sports. So you cannot subvert that by having these transes that have all the natural advantages of biological males in those particular leagues. And it makes no sense for high school, makes no sense for college. Again, just gotta call out Cenk for his absolutely ridiculous position right there. Now again, all of this is fireable stuff. All of this is ridiculous. When you're going out of your way to cut your boss and, of course, the executive producer of the flagship show for the network that you're working at, out of context in order to lie about them, in order to promote yourself, promote your own podcast, and promote the new network that you're going to, those are fireable offenses. But again, Cenk did not let her go after all of that. He accepted the fact that Francesca Fiorentini operates like a child. She's an absolute doofus from top to bottom, but it was only when she decided that she was offended that the Young Turks was helping to distribute her podcast that Cenk said, okay, I mean, if you're going to draw the line right here, if you're essentially going to quit the network and you're going to do everything but actually pull the trigger on that because you're an absolute coward, then we're going to have to let you go. We're going to have to break ties with you. And Francesca got very, very angry about this on Twitter.com, to which she, of course, decided to accuse Cenk of evil white racism, because people like this have no actual arguments. They have nothing to bring to the table. All they have is this rampant cult of self-victimization, and Francesca Fiorentini loves to pretend to be the victim. So this is the tweet from Francesca Fiorentini. Breaking. Cenk announced that I'm no longer allowed to appear on At The Damage Report with John Idarola based on disagreements with TYT's main host, and yes, calling Cenk a bitch for engaging with Dr. Phil, a guy who's joining ICE raids on innocent people. Now, first of all, the reason why she was booted from the network is because she was soft quitting from the network, too cowardly to actually stand up for her own principles, and she decided that she was going to make this non-stance based on her podcast, and Cenk said, yeah, we're gonna have to let you go. The fact that she's also going out of her way to cut people out of context like Cenk, like Ana Kasparian, in order to smear them, in order to promote herself, adds to that. But that was allowed for a very long time on the TYT network. She was given a pass on that, and more grace than you would get from most employers. But apparently Francesca Fiorentini is such a baby angel victim. I mean, she's 42 years old, an adult that talks like a 15-year-old, but she's the real victim in this. And oh my god, what is she ever going to do? I mean, again, she started attacking Cenk and the Young Turks so fiercely after she already got a new job somewhere else. This was a planned move removed from her in order to pretend to be a martyr. But what is she gonna do? Oh my god, it's so sad. She continues, it's been a good over 10-year run at TYT, but indeed it's time for both of us to move on. There's too much at stake. There are still many good people at TYT. Sadly, they're not in charge. And fewer women and people of color and trans people. Smell you later. Yeah, of course, she decided to pull the, oh my god, the diversity card. They're firing women, they're firing people of color, they're firing transes. Let us point out that all of the people that I'm referring to actually quit. All of them actually, you know, with their full chest quit the Young Turks, unlike Francesca Fiorentini, but it's so sad. Now, of course, her victimization continues after this. Cenk is doing a 20-minute, very Kasperian takedown of me to their 6 million subscribers. Anyway, I've got a fraction of that, making a fraction of the money. Alas, Frantifa, she calls her fan base Frantifa, is strong. Holler at your girl, and then she links her channel. Again, Francesca is weakness personified. First and foremost, of course, she takes a jab at Ana Kasparian, because make no mistake about it, her beef with Ana is the thing that really makes her mad, because how dare Ana have sensible takes on crime and illegal immigration and other issues that they're facing. One of the things, by the way, that Francesca is really angry about is that the Young Turks covered the fact that a homeless person was arrested and a very suspicious circumstance during the California fires when neighbors in a community saw this person with a torch trying to set a fire. And of course, she's mad that the Young Turks is criticizing Karen Bass and the California Democrats for their handling of the wildfires.
And yes, as I told Cenk, I do feel very implicated. I have felt implicated by their takes, specifically around crime and policing, in years past. Definitely by this new heel turn since Trump's reelection, and absolutely by the misrepresentation of the Los Angeles fires and who the responsibility lies on. It is enraging, to say the least.
The Los Angeles fires are not the responsibility of the mayor. They're apparently the responsibility of Republicans, or I don't know. I don't know what her thought on that is, and I don't know why she's enraged by that, but that's okay. Apparently, I've taken a heel turn.
Now, even though the California Democrats 100% deserve that criticism, and as we documented on this channel before, homeless people are responsible for over half the fires in any given year that actually occur in the Los Angeles area because they allow these encampments and they're cooking drugs and they're making all these things. Francesca, very upset about that. But of course, Goliath with their 6 million subscribers going after little baby Francesca, who's been attacking them constantly, seeking out this attention, and now of course is going full, oh no, not me, please don't attack me, after she got exactly what she wanted. Pathetic in every possible way. Now, Francesca also retweeted Matt Leave, who said, today Cenk took a brave and powerful stand against his contractor of 10 years. Now, for those of you who are unaware, Matt Leave is an absolute scumbag. He happens to be the husband of Francesca Fiorentini, and in addition to that, he is one of the people that is endorsing and encouraging people to call Child Protective Services on Ethan Klein in order to get his kids taken away, based on the fact that Ethan Klein is criticizing Cenk Uygur's nephew. So this absolute weak, cowardly man who lives in Cenk's nephew's rear end is of course married to Francesca Fiorentini, and of course he's adding to the victimization of Francesca, talking about how she's been a contractor for the last 10 years. She hasn't really been an employee. And by the way, this is probably the perfect example of these people never taking any accountability for anything that they decide to do in their own lives. Because according to that same exact podcast where they were going after Ana Kasparian, where they were attacking her viciously, Francesca Fiorentini apparently could have had a job or maintained her previous job as a propagandist for the state-sponsored media outlet Qatar, but she refused to do so because she didn't like the trade-offs and decided to work as a contractor for the Young Turks.
You have had sometimes bad luck, like with AJ Plus and stuff. I mean, it's just...
No, I really didn't actually. I just am allergic to money, Emma. Just don't worry about it. I left AJ Plus. AJ Plus
you're so
offered me,
and it's
AJ Plus offered me in 2018 when they were moving to DC a very handsome salary that I turned down because I had been there for, at that point, 4 years, and I wanted to move on, and I wanted to move to LA. So that's what happened to me. And I moved to LA not for TYT. I moved to LA to actually like pitch more shows, do more comedy, meet more people, get managers and agents and whatnot. And I did. So that is, I've had a lot of luck, and I've also turned a lot of down. So I just want to name that.
Now look, if this is true, which I doubt it because it's coming out of Francesca Fiorentini's mouth, this is a decision that she made. This is a direction that she decided to go into. My own wife, by the way, has a job currently at a very small firm. She likes the people there. She likes the culture there. But let us be real. There are larger New York City firms where she could make more money, but she would not have that culture. She would not have what she has at her current firm. So as a trade-off, she's likely taking less money in order to help build up a new company. Maybe it will, build up to the point where it can pay her what she wants to be paid financially, but she is not in it 100% for the money, and she has decided to accept those terms. Now, my wife, who's much younger than Francesca Fiorentini, is mature enough and rational enough to make that decision, understand that there's trade-offs, and then not complain constantly about a decision that she made. Francesca Fiorentini, who is 42 years old, is saying that she should get credit for churning down more money, a stable job, and all that because she didn't like the trade-offs. But also at the same time, she and her husband are saying that she's an innocent baby angel victim because the Young Turks doesn't have the money to pay her in the same way as Qatari's state-sponsored media outlet. Again, Francesca, take some damn accountability for your own life. Take some actual accountability for your own actions. It's totally embarrassing that you and your husband are bitching and moaning about choices that you made. I mean, you add no value to the Young Turks network at all whatsoever. You've never had any value. And to be clear, it is not unusual for somebody to take a contractor position at one of these networks who also identifies as a comedian, because remember, Francesca Fiorentini is allegedly a comedian, even though she's never said anything funny intentionally ever in her life, in order to build up their name reputation, in order to go out on the weekends and do tours and whatnot, in order to make more money. So in reality, a lot of times these people will take the contractor work because it's not as consistent of work in order to promote themselves, promote their shows. And of course, we've seen this with Dave Landau for Steven Crowder. We've seen this with Jimmy Dore when he was at the Young Turks, and a bunch of other comedians that were actually comedians that have worked for various media outlets. But Francesca wants to have it both ways. She wants to turn down the solid job where she acts as a really ridiculous and absurd political pundit, not get all the benefits of that solid jobs because she didn't like the trade-off of actually working for Al Jazeera at that point in time. But at the same time, she's upset that the Young Turks didn't treat her exactly as the job that she rejected, according to her, based on her own choice, that she could have had. Apparently, she's entitled to that from the Young Turks, even though, again, they don't have Qatar, the state government that, again, is propped up by oil money and slavery, in order to pay her unlimited money. So yeah, of course, what we end up finding out throughout this whole process is Francesca Fiorentini is a spoiled brat that the Young Turks should have fired long ago. She is a net negative on the network, has never added anything of value to anywhere that she's ever been. They talk about her lengthy career again prior to being on the particular network, but the fact is she worked at Qatar's state media outlet. They have unlimited funny money, so they could lose money on her constantly, and the crappy shows like News Broke, which is what she was the host of before, and her stand-up comedy career is non-existent because, again, she's allegedly a comedian. The reason political pundits that suck at their job at political punditry call themselves comedians like Francesca Fiorentini does is that when they say something dumb, when they say something stupid, they can then do the clown nose on thing and say, oh, well, I'm a comedian, I'm not meant to be an expert, even though they're trying their absolute best to sound intelligent. It's pathetic in every possible way, and I'm glad that Francesca Fiorentini has been fired from the Young Turks, although as somebody who does make part of my living making fun of absolutely ridiculously dumb people, it does hurt my little baby heart that I won't be able to play clips of Francesca Fiorentini contradicting herself from the Young Turks with such ease. But again, these are just my thoughts related to this whole fiasco. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you like this video, then show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Francesca Fiorentini getting fired, getting told to pack up her desk and get the hell out. Don't let the door hit you on the way. Till next time.